Well, hey there, and good morning. It's fantastic to be with you here today. We have a really great session for you today. Let me just get my clicker going here so we can move things forward a little bit. This is really about how you manage your job search and really how you manage your career and your career brand. Now, if you don't have your career branding up to date, that's your resume, that's your LinkedIn, that's really everything you say about yourself in a cover letter or an email. All of that needs attention as well. But once you have those things really up to speed, representing you at the highest level they can, then you really can do a number of things in your job search or in your career, really to open up doors and make opportunity come your way. It's really about taking back control. So this is supercharging your job search and your career. By the way, if you get any value at all out of today's session, I sure hope you do hit like or comment or subscribe or all those things, depending on which platform that you're watching on. I am over on YouTube under the live tab. I am self-recruiter channel, of course. I am on LinkedIn and of course on Facebook as well. That like is a great way to really help just a little bit. Now, if you haven't seen me before, John Crant, author, career coach, and speaker, resume and LinkedIn guru as well. So if your resume and LinkedIn aren't really representing you the way they should be, or other people don't perceive you at the same value level that you know yourself to be, reach out. Check out my self-recruiter website over under the services tab. All my packages are there. And if you need to talk before you know which one is right for you, reach out. We'll set up a time to have a discussion. Now, there's a lot of great ideas in my book, Self-Recruiter Changing the Rules. Notice that subtitle, Changing the Rules. Boy, I'm a big believer in changing any rule that does not work for us. That's a little bit of the magic that we have to do to make things just transform. It's a great roadmap, essentially, for everything that goes on, managing your job search, managing your career, all the obstacles you run into. A few other resources that will help you before we jump into the content today. There's a special version of my LinkedIn lecture right on my Self-Recruiter homepage, about halfway down the page, where you can see me large with the slides large, and really you can use it as a great start and stop tutorial as you improve your LinkedIn profile. Now, on my LinkedIn profile itself, you can click on my articles and get to a number of articles that will not only piggyback on today's content, but also help you with a number of other things that you may be struggling with. And of course, don't let your resume become resume roadkill. Now, in managing our career, in looking for that next job, whether you're looking for it right now or in the next couple of years, I'm looking for the right next step up. These are all the things that we have to keep an eye on, not simply at the last moment once we've lost our job or we can see the writing on the wall, but really at all times today, even if our intention isn't quite that we're going to move now, we have to be ready for opportunity. And that means all of these things are quite intensive and distracting. You have to be able to manage them. We can see a job posting. We can hear about a job posting. We can hear about a need. All of this is beginning to split the hair quite a bit. I don't have to read all of these things, but you realize all the different ways we have to think about how we discover opportunity. That is going to be a huge, huge bit that we have to get under control. When we're not under control, this is how we feel. You know, when I'm out talking to in-person audiences, I'll be like, oh, how's your resume? How's your LinkedIn? How's your job search going? How's your career brand? And people will yell out all these things. And I've had people say to me afterward, you know, John, that part there, that wasn't very uplifting. I'm like, oh, I get it. It's not. But we have to start based in reality, or we're not going to get to the destination we're dreaming about. So all of these things are things that we are feeling, they're holding us back. We have to learn to compartmentalize and put them up on the shelf, put them out of our way, and be this really unique optimist. The sun will come up tomorrow, even if it's a nuclear holocaust. I hope it isn't, but the sun's going to come up tomorrow, no matter what we're facing. I'm going to give you a lot of ideas to think about today, but this is one of the most important ones to start with, and that is, don't let somebody else think for yourself. You have to think for yourself. You have to be in that driver's seat. You have to put down that smart device and get behind the wheel, or you're not going to get to that destination you're imagining. Now, the overall guiding principle to be much, much more effective in our job search and while managing our career brand is always be thinking about your time. Your resource is your time. It's the only true resource you have. So is this the most effective use of my time at this moment? You know what we tend to do? We tend to do things that in the sales arena are called going after the low-hanging fruit. Oh, I can just reach that one. I can just grab it. It's easy. Oh, I can even just pick this one up off the ground. Really, you'd like an opportunity that you pick up off the ground? You think that's the best one? So it's easy to go after those things and they make us feel a little bit better. And what we tend to put off are the ones that are more meaningful, that could deliver more value to us because they're more stressful, but not if we plan for them. So I'll help you through a lot of that. Now, today we have to think about how you have to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, if you don't write this thing out, you're not really going to get to where you need to get to. And that means we have to search for jobs. We have to send out resumes. These are just the big umbrella ideas of what to do. We have to network. We've got to follow up on all that activity that we're doing. And we've got to strategize both for our interviews and our discussion and how we present ourselves, because marketing yourself to hiring individuals, not just HR folks, unless you'd like to work in HR, and then that is absolutely your decision maker. But if you don't want to work in HR, that's not your decision maker. That's your gatekeeper. That person is there to keep you out. And I might say they in general don't have the right background to judge your specialty. Are you going to let that individual determine your destiny? Well, it's certainly not for me. So I want you to begin to absorb that we're going to take this first step wherever you are in your process, and we're going to learn to repeat until this becomes really an unemotional, mechanized system that delivers many more results for you than you're currently getting. Now, structuring and building your job search plan of action, not going to happen just by sitting on the internet looking at job postings. That's the biggest tragedy I see. People will be sitting on the internet. They'll, do whatever they need to do, and oh, I see a job to go after. It's like, fantastic. Well, to me, that's tragedy, because about 50% of all the job postings you see are not real. And people will have shocked faces going, what do you mean they're not real? I'm like, I see it. It's like, they're not real by the definition of, are they already funded positions? Or do they already have clearance to hire? If they identify the right person, are they ready to set an interview schedule? If in the interview process they identify the right individual, are they ready to extend an offer and set a start date? And by that criteria, there's a tremendous amount of window shopping, and it all comes out of how those job posting slots, those are advertising spots really, how they're sold. Now, I used to do all the national contracts for a 100 office recruiting system, and I can tell you exactly how they're sold. They're sold one time per year, or let's rephrase that, they're purchased one time per year if you're going to get any kind of a good deal. So you go, well, how many could I use this next year? And you go to your sales rep and you do a little horse trading, a little negotiating. You sign that contract. Those are use them or lose them in 12 months. You had no idea 6 months or up to a year ago what you were going to hire today. And yet those things become things you just, we have to put something in there. We have to put something in there. Ends up with about half of them not really truly being real. So I want you to think about the job search steps that I just had up there. We're going to come back to them. It really drives the point home that job search and really career brand management and managing where your career trajectory is going to go next is all a sales process. It's a persuasion process, whether we like it or not. It's actually one other thing we don't like as well, and that's it's a dating process. Ugh. The two worst things. It's a sales process mixed with a dating process, which means I know it's all about you, but nobody cares about you. Well, I care about you, but nobody else cares about you. They care about themselves. So you have to change the angle where it's always about them, always about why you're excited about them, about what you could do for them. That's how you make it about yourself. So we're going to have to get a lot into the sales process, but really, if it was really only this easy, because there's so much more involved. Everyone's sitting back doing the same darn thing you're doing, which is hitting that darn button. And you know what they're expecting? They're expecting magic to happen. Almost never does it say apply. Almost always does it say submit, all capital letters, until we're so submissive. It's like a Friday night, waiting for the phone to ring. When it does, it'll be a telemarketer. This is to train you to be submissive, to follow the rules. No phone calls. First one I'd call. I know they don't mean me. Those rules, changing the rules, those rules apply to somebody else. Now, in my many years as a recruiter on a desk, and I'll share more about my background as we go along, I would chase down job postings as leads for who may be hiring, who can I sell my services to deliver superstar candidates. And I'd see these ones that say, no recruiters, no phone calls. First one I'd call every time. I know they don't mean me. They mean all those bad recruiters out there. They're going to thank their lucky stars when they speak to me, because I'm going to make it all about them and how I can deliver value for them and how I can change the equation. You have to have that level of confidence. You have to drink enough of the Kool-Aid to believe that you're better than the next 5 or 6 individuals that want that job. Otherwise, you're not going to get that job. It's not simply, oh, maybe they'll like me and pick me. Well, good luck. We don't pick people that way, and you're going to be left back in this very unhappy place. Let's change that. The process to changing it, let me get a little drink here, is becoming a self-recruiter. This is a really, really great recruiter. Sorry, while I get a tissue. This is a really great recruiter that looks after one individual, which is you. You're going to take control. You're going to have to be the person that has to actually talk and go meet and present and all that kind of stuff. But you have to be the strategist, the cheerleader. Sometimes you got to pick yourself up by the bootstraps and dust yourself off. The planner, the coach. You have to be all of these things. And it also means you have to keep one eye on that toughest competitor imaginable, those 4, 5, 6 people that want to take that opportunity from you. And if they're a better talker, unfortunately, they're probably going to take it from you. So practice makes perfect, and really working through my resume renovation lecture, my building your career brand with LinkedIn lecture, beginning to understand how you change both in written and digital and verbal format, how you speak about yourself. We have a cultural problem where we self-deprecate and we throw ourselves under the bus very, very easily until we get squashed by that tire. And that just convinces them you're not the right individual. So enough of that Kool-Aid where none of that happens. Secret in this whole hiring process, my gosh, they would like us dangerously close to that ego and arrogance line. Oh, don't cross it. Don't cross it. If you cross it, they're not going to hire you. Can't stand with you. But they like you dangerously close because they imagine that, oh my gosh, if I hire this person, well, I don't even know what I'm going to get, but I'm going to get something more than just these other cookie cutter people. So we have to problem solve in this sales process. That means we have to create an actual job search plan, not just like will it into existence. If we don't do it, it's not going to happen for us. So a real job search plan to me is not sitting on the internet looking at job postings. It's reversing the whole process, upending it really, where I'm going to pick 30 organizations. 30, oh my gosh. Yeah, I know it's tough. How about 30 companies I'm dying to work for? And by the way, the reason you're dying to work for them can't be because you saw some open job. Oh, I'm dying for that job. Well, that's not dying to work for them. That's you want that job. 30 companies you're dying to work for. I can't come up with that. Okay, can you come up with 10? Can you come up with 10 companies you're dying to work for some reason? Maybe you love their brand, or maybe you love the prestige, or maybe you love their products or their service, or whatever it might be. Who knows? Maybe you love their location. Please don't tell them that. That's not the right reason. Whatever it is that gets you going about these, why don't you then take those 10 organizations into a financial tool, maybe something like Yahoo Finance or Hoovers.com, pop their name in there, and in their listing, what you generally see on the left column, right column is their top 3 competitors. There, you can take your list of 10 and suddenly turn it into 40 and cross out a few duplicates, cross out a few you don't like, and probably end up with 30 companies where all the same logic of why you love these 10 applies to the rest. So if you select the organizations or companies first, forget about going and looking for the job postings themselves, devise the steps needed like a detective. Well, I mean, what John's saying really isn't possible. It'd be magic if that happened. Well, what if you thought about how you could align the sun, the moon, the stars working backwards just to figure out the steps? It's basic problem solving, really. And yet we don't apply it to job search or career management for some reason. Discover the decision makers. Well, I'll teach you right now. Well, not right now, but shortly, how to discover those decision makers. That's not very difficult. Also, that's the last 5 minutes of any of my LinkedIn videos over on YouTube under the Self Recruiter channel. You can always scroll to the last 5 minutes. Hope you do a like, comment, share, subscribe while you're there. That really does help if you'd like to help. Overcome the objections. Oh my God, they're going to object to me. You know what happens when somebody gives me an objection? Inside, I go, yes. You know why? Because I understand what an objection is. An objection is testing. An objection is, I'm intrigued. I like this person. I'm going to have to ask them a tough question to see how they put their thoughts together, to see how they overcome the objection. That's how we make decisions. So if someone objects like, well, you don't have background in this position. You don't have background in this industry. I don't. I can't pretend I have something I don't have. But I could use an agree but disagree technique to agree to some extent with what they just said. You don't have background in this industry. I don't, but I'm sure you're going to meet a lot of those in the other candidates. Everyone else is a candidate. I'm always an individual. What I bring to the table as an individual is something very, very different. And it's why I'm going to be the most valuable individual for this role. Oh my gosh, he sounds like he already has it. Well, I'm not here with a cup in my hand jiggling a coin. I'm here to sell and persuade. And as I teach in my interview session, it's really about teaching them how to select you, giving them the confidence to pick you, overcoming those objections, get a meeting, dazzle them, have me either give you the job or create a job for you. That's a real job search plan. So find these companies that are statistically perfect. Now, if you've ever worked with a good recruiter, and there's only a few of them, but if you've ever worked with a good recruiter and you have a stunning background, say you're one of those unicorns, A+++, wow, stellar background, unicorn. The recruiters, if they're good, is very excited. First thing they do is create this statistically perfect list, 30 companies that would hire you tomorrow if they had an opening. That's the unknown, is we don't know if they have an opening. The good recruiter then does not go look at the company websites to see if they have an opening. All the good recruiter does is put that list together. They pick up the phone. They call 30 managers. Did you hear me say HR? No. They call 30 managers at 30 companies, and 2, 3, or 4 every single time go, oh, we need a person just like this. You do? Gosh, I positioned myself to get struck by lightning. Well, you can do this for yourself by creating that list of companies that are really perfect for you. Now, there's several ways to do this. I teach it in my LinkedIn lecture. Go watch the Building Your Career Brand with LinkedIn, and that will really help you find those 30 perfect companies that would just hire you tomorrow if they had an opening. By the way, even if they don't have an opening, a great number of them are feeling pain from what they do have in place, and they'd like to make a change. It's just so much work, but if the right person fell in my lap, they make a change just like that. So this is really a sales process, all of it, which basic sales funnel. You've probably seen these things over your career, over your lifetime. Nothing happens without a plan, though. We have to have this plan. That means we have to have a lot of activity at the top. And each stage going down, there's less until we get to the offer stage. So all of this really can help drive success for you. And the goal is to really arrive at a place where you get multiple offers. Unless you get multiple offers, you never actually have choice. And if you get your activity level up to a high enough level, you can get multiple offers at the same time. I've had clients get 2 and 3 offers at the same time because they understand this is the most important project they've ever worked on. Think of the most important project you ever worked on in your career. The same level of focus, stress, problem solving has to exist here. So to get there, that means I have to be simultaneously going after 10 companies or organizations at once. That's a lot of juggling, I'm going to describe what's involved with going after 10 companies. And the goal here is to create one brand new first interview, not the second, third, fourth, that also has to happen, but one brand new first interview every single week. That's a very tough goal, but it is doable if you get your activity level up to the right level. It's not doable if we sit back and hope, oh, I hope someone hires me. Why won't someone hire me? Because you're not selling yourself. This is a sales process. So what we're going to do is take these 10 companies. We're going to connect with people to essentially warm up the audience behind the firewall of the company. That means I'm going to go into LinkedIn, and I teach this in depth in my LinkedIn lecture. I'm going to select 25 to 30 individuals. I can reverse search the company, which is coming up. I'll teach you how to do that. And as I look through the titles, I select 25 to 30 people. I just open them up into different tabs to make my work process easier. And I'm looking for people up the food chain. Don't be shy. Up, down, all the way down to admin level. Don't be a snub for very, very important reasons, strategic reasons. Left and right into a couple surrounding departments. Really, these 25 to 30 people are probably people I would interact with certainly every week, if not every day in my career. And they would all experience value from having the right person in that position. It's a sales process. So I'm going to open those profiles, which is putting a worm on the hook and tossing it out into the pond and giving it time to wiggle around. The goal is to get them to click on your name, which should open your LinkedIn profile, which to me has to be a three-dimensional sales brochure all about you that naturally drives them to one singular conclusion. If I hire this person, work with this person, best business decision I make today. I'm going to ask them to connect. I've opened their profiles, which triggered that first worm on the hook. I'm going to ask them to connect, which is a second worm and a second hook. Basic message that says, you don't know me. I'm professionally appropriate. Here's a little stroke to your ego. Sounds like I like to connect with other professionals in our niche or niche, depending how we like to say that. And of course, I'd love to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn. I'm never going to say, I saw an open job. I hope you're thinking about me. Oh, another person to bother me. No, just open and connect, rub elbows with other people, gently stroke their ego along the way. Oh, here it is. There's your text. You can take a little screenshot. It's really simple. It's really effective. Put yourself in their arena. Now, without waiting, because this is a sales process, I've already opened, I've already asked to connect. And now I look back at those 25 to 30 people and I simply go, well, who are the 3, 4, or 5 people out of that group that I think would somehow be involved in the conversation to hire a person like myself? By the way, the hiring manager is almost always in that group, but you don't really even have to find the hiring manager. I'd like you to, but you don't really have to. Those people will all be strategic thinkers. And if you impress them with your value, if none of them are the hiring person, they will certainly connect you and direct you right to the hiring person going, we need more people like this with a head on their shoulder that can deliver value. Now, by the way, I asked to connect. I did not wait for the answer to connect because that's irrelevant. It's a sales process. Just step 3. I now am going to put together an email, not an in-mail, not a message, but I'm going to pull their real email, which isn't brain surgery these days. I'm going to pull their email them directly as if they're the only person in the world. Dear Jack, dear Jim, dear Jill, I just had to reach out and introduce myself to you. I'm so excited by what I see going on at XYZ company. Oh, really? Do tell. Is it my hair? Is it my eyes? What is it? And you got to tell them, which means you have to do your homework. That means I have to go do probably a Google News search. I have to put their company name in, put whatever I can find out that is going on. Do they have stories in the news? If I don't find something there, I can go read their press releases. I have to find something to stroke their ego about and continue that message. But as you're discovering all these 25 to 30 people and really the key people, it's knowledge. Knowledge is power. That is the magic of all of this. I have to capture it. So the tools to capture it, you can download for free right over my Self-Recruiter website, right under the advice tab, which is my blog. And just look for the job search management system. You can download it. It's all free. This will help you start to do things that make sense. What's the first step? Who did I meet? What can I do next? What should I do next that I'm avoiding? I can't just put one message out and go, oh, they didn't respond back. It's not their job to respond back. Oh, I'd like them to. It's not their job to respond back. It's your job to make them want to respond back. And they're probably super busy in their day. So you're the salesperson in this process. I don't care if it takes 3, 4, 5, 6 outreaches. I'm certainly never going away until someone either responds to me or calls me and says, hey, could you go away? I'm like, absolutely. I'm sorry about that. And then here's why I had to reach out. I'm going to continue to sell to them. Capture this information. It's valuable for not only now, but for your career. These people are going to move around to different companies and you can begin to develop a longer term relationship with them. Now, back to where we started up on screen. I didn't talk you through it, but we see it. I'm going to select those 25 to 30 people. I'm going to open their profiles, ask to connect. I'm going to email 3, 4, 5 decision makers. I'm going to book a meeting. This is not hoping they ask me for a meeting. Dear Jack, dear Jim, dear Jill. After I stroke their ego, which sounds like, oh, I saw the Wall Street Journal article on your new such and such initiative. Those things are always so good to get. Learn to speak to them like a human being, not a robot. It's very, very effective versus sterile business language that doesn't work today. And then just know that to get a meeting, which is an interview, all you have to have is a carrot, a by the way, I handled a very similar launch when I was back at ABC Company. I'd love to come in and share with you how we tackled all those issues I bet your team's experiencing. Ding, 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 ding. That is the magic. That is what we're after. That is worth the meeting. So I'm then going to go for the jugular. I have an opening on my calendar. My calendar. Your words are very important. I'm not here with a cup in my hand. Opening on my calendar Tuesday at 10 a.m. One day, one time, never more. If you're open all next week, I'm never meeting with you. You're not valuable. You're wasting my time. One day, one time to give them something to react to. Book the meeting. Go for the jugular. That is your job, not to, oh, I hope to meet with you. You hope to meet with me? I'm never meeting with you. You don't have enough belief in yourself. Repeat, 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 repeat until this is a repeatable process like breathing where you don't even think about it. Small changes change perception. That means your script has to change as well. You can't do it or say it the way you've always done it. And that means we have to think about, well, what really has to change? Well, there's a lot of remote work these days. You may be with a company that works remote or with one that's gone back to the office. About half in the larger cities are still working remotely. So no matter what, you have to show yourself as proficient in a remote environment, even if they're an on-site environment. And if you haven't, you have to think about other ways. I don't really have to read all these. You can see them. Other ways that might illustrate your effectiveness at a distance, or even doing conference calls or webinars or all of those kinds of things can also show effectiveness at a distance. That probably has to be weaved into your story. Now, really, just who is it that makes the decisions? I can tell you this. Unless you'd like to work in HR, it is certainly no one in HR that makes the decisions about you. The only decision they make about you is not to include you for some reason, based on some ridiculous criteria on some job posting, which tends to get put together like a lunch order. Oh, what do you think we should hire? A little of this, a little of that, a little salt, a little sugar, a little spice, until I have this ridiculous list of tangentially connected things to this job, but that's not a picture of the day-to-day of this job. And yet that's what HR is basing their criteria on. You know who would understand why to hire you? The decision maker. In 90 seconds or less, they'd understand exactly why you'd be valuable or not. So you can't talk yourself into a job that you're not right for, but get to the right person and dazzle them and understand it's a date, how you can make their life easier, how you can help their team get to their goals, how you can leverage your background to make them look better. Influence that person. So this part's a lot easier than we think about. It's really not brain surgery getting to the boss or the boss's boss or the boss's boss's boss. By the way, if I know who the boss is and I can figure out who the boss's boss or boss's boss's boss is, I would like to start 2 levels above the boss. Why? Because if you impress the person that's the boss's boss's boss and they introduce you down the food chain to the boss, you always get that meeting. And the person's then really listening because their boss recommended it. So it's called top-down selling. It's a basic selling principle. I know it's scary. Those people further up the food chain aren't afraid of you. They're waiting for you to deliver value. Don't call them and waste their time, but call them and deliver amazing value that you've thought about them. You've thought about their company. You understand why they inspire you, and you understand why it could be valuable. In all my language so far about outreach, you didn't once hear me say I'm looking for a job. That's not accidental. I'm never saying I'm looking for a job. It's crystal clear I'm looking for a job. The moment I say I'm looking for a job, I give them an opening to go, have you talked to HR? Have you sent your resume to HR? It's like the horse wagging its tail to get rid of the flies. I'm not giving them that opportunity. Also, the word interview never crossed my lips. Never crossed my lips. Why would I do that? That is going to get me sent to HR again. So let's go impress the boss's boss's boss, and maybe the boss's boss, and maybe the boss themselves, and those important people. But it could be almost anyone. So I want you to think about, no matter what segment you're in, it's pretty much this simple. A little bit of variation in titling. You know your industry better than probably I know your industry. So just think about, I don't have to follow the rules. I need to get myself in front of the right person, both electronically and hopefully verbally. Ooh, I know that's scary. I know that's scary. But you know why I like to call as well, if we can find the courage to do it? Because they can't hear your passion in a written email or written message. Oh, you could try to be passionate, but they can't hear it. They can't hear it. But when I call them and it goes beep, I go, Hey, good morning, Jack. It's John Crant. I just had to reach out and introduce myself to you. I'm so excited by what I get to see going on at XYZ company. By the way, I saw the Wall Street Journal article on your new such and such launch. Those things are always so good to get. Jack, I'm reaching out because I handled a very similar launch at ABC company, and I'd love to come in and share with you how we tackled all those issues I bet your team's experiencing. Not sure what your schedule is like this week, but I have an opening Tuesday at 10 a.m. I'm certainly looking forward to a great discussion. Here's my cell phone number. Boom. Wow. Can I say that? Absolutely. Did you notice I didn't go into a voicemail mode where it goes beep? It goes, hi, Jack. What's our voice doing up in the cloud like that? Drop your register. Talk to them like a dear old friend. You're sharing a secret. Let that resonance work for you. Maybe stand up to free up the diaphragm so you have more resonance. Get to the right person. Actually get to 3, 4, 5 of the right people. So any one of them can really be singing your praise behind the scenes. But capture all of that knowledge. This stuff is so important to you so you understand how to follow up properly, because it may take multiple outreaches, 3, 4, 5 outreaches, even in the short span of a week, as long as I don't say the same thing every time. It has to be a conversation, even though it's really a monologue. Other ways besides reverse searching LinkedIn, of course, I can find name mentions in books and articles and blogs and press releases and all that kind of fun stuff. Basic things that a normal salesperson would do. I can get referrals. So every person I speak to, I can go, thank you so much, Jack. It's been a wonderful conversation. Jack, who are the 2 best, whatever that is, that you've ever met in your career? Bing. If you ask the question the right way, they'll instantly think of the answer. Let me just ask you a question. Who was the favorite teacher you ever had? Or depending how your brain's wired, who was the teacher you hated most? Depending how we're wired, one or both of those images are in your head. And I've had audiences in person tell me, oh, it's been a few weeks since I thought about this person. It's been a few decades since I thought about that person. And it took you a millisecond to think of them. If you ask the questions the right way, you can pop the information in their head. Then whether they give you that information is whether or not you've built enough trust and rapport that they give it to you. By the way, don't ask permission. So I'm never going to say, can you tell me who that person is? Oh, I shouldn't give out names. I shouldn't tell people. Who is that person? Just very direct. So you cause a knee-jerk reaction of they regurgitate the information for you. Very, very effective getting referrals to top individuals, the best of the best, not just someone that works in this area. Of course, using LinkedIn and your typical understanding of the org chart, how to reverse search LinkedIn. I'm going to teach you this part. We go to LinkedIn, we go to this unified search box at the top of the page. In this example, I'm going to use Informatica. As a headhunter and a recruiter for many years, this was a cash cow of mine, lots of placements all over the place. And as I start to type it, they give me this drop-down menu. Don't click on the drop-down menu, trip down the rabbit hole, simply type what you'd like, hit enter. They give you this nice secondary sorting process. I'm really here looking for, and to wipe my glasses here, I'm really here looking for people that I can reach out to. But you know what? I bet you there's probably companies that are just as good and just as right that I'm not thinking of. So as long as I'm here, let's look at companies and see if there's companies that I should be. Oh, there it is. They hit it right over there. I found it. What do we get? 34,000 companies. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of companies. After you get past all the ones that are Informatica this, Informatica that, who are the rest of these? Well, I can tell you, I used to work in this field. These are all system integrators. They either resell or install Informatica software. If I am statistically right for work for Informatica, I'm statistically right to work for a great number of these things. But now I have to find the people. So I go back and show me the people. How many people do we have? 2.5 million. Ugh. Cold and in the ground before I get to that conclusion. I'm gonna have to put my thinking cap on. I only use the free version of LinkedIn. So, I really only need the ones in the US. That's what I'm looking for. So give me the ones in the US. And, I don't need anybody that was here like 3 years ago? I don't need that. So let's move those folks out of the way. Why don't we think about what else we can do? Because that gets us to 1,600 results, but I can't look at 1,600 results either. So, maybe even on the free version, I put in VP. I think a VP is going to hire me. Really US, really Informatica. 75 VPs, a lot of chiefs in that company. what should I do? Thinking cap, problem solving. Maybe it's a director. Maybe it's a director, really US, really Informatica. 228 directors. No, that's, I know what it is. I know what it is because I'm problem solving. It's a sales director. It's a sales director. And as long as I'm really thinking now, why don't I find them in the greater New York City area, even in the free version? And what do I get? 3. I'm looking for 3 to 5. I've got 3. Fantastic. Now, if I had 5, that would be more magical because I would get a different statistical result over 10 companies. So I love the 3. That's great. But maybe there's a sales VP really in the greater New York City, really currently working in Informatica, and I get suddenly 2 more. I'm now up to 5. Fantastic. Amazing. Love that part. So now I've got these folks that I can reach out to as to connect everything else. Oh, but this one's Nick here says send InMail. Doesn't say connect, says send InMail. You know what InMail is? I hope you do. It is called spam. The literal definition of spam. I have well over 1,000 unopened messages in my LinkedIn inbox, just inundated beyond belief with spam, paid spam. That's paid email, literal definition of spam. Don't send an InMail. That's my advice to you. I still want to connect with Nick. So if I was smart enough to load his profile, it's still going to frustrate me with the InMail thing. But then the ... gives me where they hid the connect button. And I put in that message I write one time ever and copy and paste forevermore. And it changes everything. Again, I've got to capture all this information, or why am I doing all of this work that can't benefit me in the future? Now, of course, I can't ever forget that this is a dating process, but it's, that's just part of the first step in outreach. And if you make it about you, hi, this is John. I'd like you to hire me. How'd you get my number? Take me off your list. Never call me again. Security. That doesn't really work out well for us. So we need to think about, that's not the right message. Our message has to change because it's a sales process. It's a persuasion process. And the value has to be everywhere in every single word, or those things I dream about aren't going to come to fruition. My job is to be persuasive, to teach them that I'm the right one. So in writing your script, one of the secrets is don't write in a grammatically perfect fashion. I'm not suggesting you murder the language. That's not what I'm after. But write in the way that you speak. We speak differently than we write. You can't write a script and then sound like a canned ham when you go to read it. So 30 seconds to live or die. This form, by the way, is all part of the job search management system. You can download over on selfrecruiter.com, right under the advice tab. By the way, wherever you're watching this, I sure hope you do hit that like, comment, share, subscribe, send it to a friend. All those things really do help if it's valuable to you. Bottom of the script piece here is real simple. Then that text on the left will remind you of what I'm teaching you now as you go to write out your own script. But let me take you through the structure so you basically understand it. I'm going to greet them. I'm going to wait for their response. Now, nobody wants to. But I need to wait for their response, which is where they're going to go, how'd you get my number? Take me off your list. Never call me again. Take a breath. Take a risk. Don't put too much in the greeting. Hey, good morning, Jack. It's John Crant. How are you this morning? I'm fine, John. How can I help you? I love that. Or it could be the trained dog response. I'm fine, John. How can I help you? I'll take it. I'm moving forward. Or it could be something we don't want. Like, I'm terrible. Acknowledge their response. I can't pretend I didn't hear it. Well, gosh, Jack, let's see if we can change that. And that's my only commentary on the terrible. And I keep moving forward. I just had to reach out, introduce myself to you, tell them why you're calling. You've heard it earlier in today's session. Tell them why you're calling. Get educational background. Only if you went to one of those schools. There's about this many of them. You went to one of those. Oh my gosh, mention it. I've seen from my clients, the doors fly literally off the hinge if you went to one of those schools. A great many people think they went to one of those schools. I'm like, it's a very nice school, but you didn't go to one of those schools. There's a handful that are those schools. The rest, put it aside. Talk about it later. It doesn't really matter. 2 or 3 key accomplishments that would make them jump out of their chair, or that carrot of information you can come in and share with them, and then close them for a meeting. I'd love to come in and meet with you, or I could share this, that, the other thing. In fact, I have an opening on my calendar Tuesday at 10 a.m. Proper closing process. It's a sales process. And you've got to practice this thing out loud so you get it into muscle memory. Print it out nice and large so that if you panic, you can relax, stay calm, and you can read it if you have to. But you need to get this into an organic place. As you get calls to happen, would you have to be thinking on your feet? What can I get out of this call? Is there something, not just what are they saying to me now? What else can I get? Think like a detective while you're also speaking. What else could I say? What could I leave them thinking? What are they thinking about me? What do they think about my skills? There must be something else. There must be something else that I can do here. So can I call you back to ask you questions? Can I call you back to bother you? What I'm illustrating here is going after a relationship, an ability to call them back. And if I just ask them can I call you back with a question if I have one, and waste my time? No. But if you had an engaging discussion, it could be as simple as, gosh, Jack, from time to time, I run into an interesting situation while I'm out there talking with others in the industry. Might be helpful at some point to run some scenario by you and get your opinion, your advice. Ooh, give them the stroke to the ego. And this is very effective. I was taught this as a recruiter. At first, I thought it was hogwash, and then I tried it. I think I have the actual text here that will help you. You can screenshot this. Let's just highlight it for you. It's these small little changes change everything. This is you being someone that is a counselor. They're living inside of a bubble of their world. They don't get the exposure you think they do. And if you're out there talking to others in the industry all day long, you may, get this permission. Now, I'm not likely ever going to call them back, but this way they will remember me. It's another chance for them to remember me. And that's part of the magic that I'm after, is I have to create people that are strategic thinkers about me. So if they're having other conversations, my name might come up. Manage and balance everything, communications, everything else. Don't burn your assets out because you reach out too many times. Don't ask questions that make you needy. But whenever you get to the end of your call, discussion, whatever it might be, what else could I get? Gosh, I know with Jack, with your background and position within the industry, you must hear things. Who do you know that's hiring right now? Or Jack, with your background and position within the industry, where would you look? What am I missing? Where would you go for an opportunity? Well, I'd look at, XYZ company. Why didn't they mention that before? It's not their job to come up with ideas for you. It's your job to cause them to come up with ideas for you. And that's part of problem solving in outreach. All your messaging are simple little nudges to move things forward. Job search steps themselves are pretty simple. All of this work that you do is also part of how you raise your career brand. That system itself that I talked about, you can download everything to help manage these pieces that we talked about earlier. You've got to sit down at the end of the week, at the end of every single day, and you have to go, well, how did I do? How did I do? And you have to be honest with yourself. I'm not going to take you through all the forms, although I'm going to mention all the forms. I'm just going to take you through one more of activity goals. Now, this particular one, let's go to the bottom of the form. This is where you set your goals. Number of companies I'm going to contact each week. These are brand new companies I've never contacted before. I have to think about that. And it's like, okay. Number of emails. Those are outbound emails, not return emails. Those are things coming back to you as fruits of your labor. Number of calls, total outbound. Maybe that's 0. Maybe I can't call yet. Okay, well, you might try it in the future. A number of calls to managers. You notice that one's in bold. Number of calls to HR. That one's not very bold, unless you want to work in HR. Number of meaningful conversations. Boy, I could kid myself about that one. Let's give you what I think are some reasonable numbers. I think 3 companies a week. Just 3. I can do a lot more than that. Probably the first week, but then how are you going to do all the follow-up necessary when it may take 6 outreaches times 3 to 5 people, and I have to look up 25 to 30 people with every single organization like we talked about? You realize this snowballs very quickly. About 3 brand new companies every single week keeps new blood in your job search, new energy. Let's just go down to the number of meaningful conversations. It's probably, on a very good week, probably 6. You know what's a meaningful conversation? Could even be one where there was no opportunity, but I discovered a new name, a referral. I discovered another company that I hadn't thought of in the conversation. I took something of value away from it. That's a meaningful conversation, rather than just let myself get shooed away by that horse's tail, shooting away the flies. Every single Friday, then have to have that light bulb moment. In my book, I talk about having you only have to be honest with one person to be successful, not yourself. And the analogy is, imagine standing in front of that full-length mirror, naked, with only fluorescent lighting. It's like, none of us look like those people in the magazines, and neither do they. That's all Photoshop. So, but you have to have that level of honesty, that fluorescent light level of honesty. So if you got a goose egg in one of these categories, put down a 0. Maybe you get a 0 over several weeks, and maybe on the 3rd week or 4th week, it motivates you to get a 1 or a 2 the next week, or so on. You do this tracking over the course of 8 weeks, you'll have a very different outcome. All these things are free to download: the job search opportunity, the networking strategy, resume sent, interview strategy, calling strategy. Yeah, I have to redevelop my strategy on every level so I get better and better and better, sharpening my tool set as I'm sharpening my skills to manage my job and to manage that career brand. Take your first step and repeat, 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 repeat. This has been supercharging your job search and career. Check out my other very valuable lectures. That is resume renovation, learning how to make that document sing your praises. So the reaction when they see your resume is, oh, get them in here, get them on the phone. I have to speak with them. That's the right resume. Your LinkedIn profile, building your professional career brand with LinkedIn and how to use that for your job search. That lecture is all about how to transform that single sheet sales document of a resume that dazzles them into a 3-dimensional sales brochure all about you that naturally drives them to that singular conclusion about hiring you or working with you. Of course, my interview intervention lecture, which teaches you how to teach them how to select you. Reinventing your career, lots of others. Check out my Self Recruiter YouTube channel and click on that live tab. That has most of my lectures in them, all different varieties that you can watch and share with friends. Just know that wherever you are, there's help out there for you. If you need help lifting your career brand, reach out. Go to my Self Recruiter website, click on the services tab, check out the different packages. And if you need to chat before you know which one is right for you, send me a quick email. That's john@selfrecruiter.com. And we'll set up a time to talk. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please do, once again, hit the like, comment, share, subscribe. It helps a lot and greatly appreciate it. And wish you success in lifting your brand and finding that right next opportunity. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.